Nimbula pinaka naturangan na marama na turbugi ng ngone lewa. Nimbula pinaka ngone. Kanuita kini maratay tiron tapi tinggomian na biyo liba ni Radio Fiji 1 ang tabay viti na bunga ni Vian. Oya upio ratuang kada menindaw ni Bengravi. Nama kia mai daun kita tiri karua moniti kina barum buka. Ene wasini ngono baru taki kilo manikoro ilutu na karomo.
In this bulletin, relations with Fiji improving, EU funding will now be available to government. Lands Ministry reviewing all of its processes with the draft standard operating procedure now in place. And New Zealand and Fiji to sign agreement about recognised seasonal workers scheme next week. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. The European Union's relations with Fiji have significantly improved following Fiji's return to democracy. At the Attorney General's conference in Sigatoka this morning, EU Ambassador Andrew Jacobs highlighted the improving relations and funding that will now be available to government. Christopher Chand reports the EU has allocated $67 million for bilateral cooperation with Fiji.
The ambassador officially opened the two-day conference, enlightening legal practitioners about some of the EU's policies and how Fiji is set to benefit from the European Development Fund.
And we are now, I'm very pleased to say, at an advanced stage in planning with the Fiji government and in consultation with other stakeholders where and how to focus Fiji's allocation from the European Development Fund for the coming period. It's likely that our partnership will centre around sustainable rural livelihoods, in particular in relation to the sugar sector.
Jacob says Fiji has a pivotal role to play in regional integration in the Pacific and, like the European Union, could lead the way for a Pacific Union.
Fiji, as a Pacific hub and centre of gravity, will be able to push things forward. As Minister Koya said in his maiden speech, Fiji needs to take advantage of its location in the region, its resources and its people. But to move forward on Pacific integration, all countries involved will need to show flexibility.
The EU has much to offer in terms of trade, but negotiations on a comprehensive economic partnership agreement or free trade with the Pacific has continued for years.
With the Interim Economic Partnership Agreement, or the IEPA, under its belt, we hope that Fiji will be able to give a much-needed impetus to the sluggish negotiations on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between the European Union and Pacific ACP countries.
This year is the 16th AGIS conference and it has attracted the largest number of participants. Sessions over the 2 days will discuss emerging issues affecting society, including human trafficking, climate change and social media. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Finance Minister Ayaz Said Qayyum used his right of reply to focus on the opposition and their contributions to the week-long budget debate. The minister says the opposite side of the House is being devoid of logic. Maggie Boyle reports.
Concluding close to a week of parliamentary debates on the 2015 budget, the Finance Minister, Ayaz Said Qayyum, clearly unimpressed by the opposite side of the House.
The fundamental lack of understanding of economics, the inability to see the economy as a whole, how it all ties in, the undertone of threats based on ethnicity or race, the lack of a basic understanding of commerce, of running corporations, the private sector, and of course, Madam Speaker, the absence of knowledge and logic.
And while his right of reply was brief, he hit out at any suggestion to discredit a key government initiative.
They talk about import substitution not working, yet talk about creating jobs. Have they thought about food security? Have they thought about foreign reserves depletion, which mind you is the highest ever it's ever been? Let's go and tell all the dairy farmers, don't produce milk because we can get cheaper milk from New Zealand. Let's go and tell all our poultry farmers in the rural areas through the village schemes to stop growing chicken because the Aussies, Kiwis and Brazilians can dump cheaper chicken in Fiji. With it, they bring their diseases. Madam Speaker, your Shadow Minister of Finance spoke about it. Madam Speaker, they talk about getting Qantas to tell us what to do. Madam Speaker, Qantas made a cumulative loss of $2.973 billion.
The minister also driving home the point of harnessing Fijian-made brands.
Fiji Airways, our national carrier, our pride, for those of you who are truly patriotic, for those of you who are true Fijians, is set to make a historical profit of $60 million, unprecedented in 2013-2014. Where, Madam Speaker, the staff now get a share of the profits.
Over the last 4 days, 49 MPs took to the Parliament floor to address the 2015 budget, 18 in opposition and 31 in support for it. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Ministry of Land is reviewing all of its processes with a draft standard operating procedure now in place. Lands Minister Mereseni Vuniwanga says the public can expect better service delivery in 2015. Maggie Boyle with more.
$32.9 million has been allocated for the Department of Lands and Mineral Resources. Ensuring the money is well invested is critical.
There are draft standard operating procedures now for the Ministry of Lands. This relates to the different applications that people come up with to the ministry. The aim of these standard operating procedures is basically to set down the processes that will be undergone in assessing and also timelines, more importantly, for members of the public. So by 31st December of this year, we will have in place specific timelines for the different processes in accordance with the standard operating procedures. We will put these SOPs under pilot for the first 3 months of next year, so that by 31st of March we should be able to advertise, publicize the different timelines we will take for the different processes we have.
Vuniwanga says the pilot stage will enable the ministry to work to realistic deadlines.
For example, an application for a state lease. At the moment, whilst the law spells out the different things that must happen before a lease can be issued, it does not necessarily set out the timelines, which is important to our customers. These SOPs that I was referring to will put into place the timelines for each of these steps that needs to be taken before a lease can be issued.
In her budget debate, Vuniwanga endorsed the 2015 budget, calling it forward-looking and that it puts Fiji first. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
New Zealand government representatives will be in the country next week to sign an agreement concerning the Recognised Seasonal Workers Scheme. A pilot project of the scheme is expected to begin in February, with about 30 Fijians working in New Zealand. Savara Tamboa reports.
The much-anticipated scheme has now moved into another phase.
Actually, our friends from New Zealand are coming over next week for the actual signing of the inter-agency agreement, to join the seasonal work scheme or the recognized employers work scheme in New Zealand. And that's towards the horticulture and viticulture industry, mainly to do with fruit picking.
The pilot phase of the scheme would include 30 workers from Fiji employed for seasonal work in Hawke's Bay, Bay of Plenty and Nelson. Balindroganroka says there is no other recruitment centre and people interested in the scheme must register with the National Employment Centre. Potential workers will be selected in a transparent manner.
We must send the best 30 fruit pickers to New Zealand. We want to give them the very best. Give the farmers in New Zealand the best. And at the same time, if they do well that side, it's going to be win-win. It's good to the farmers the other side. So there's going to be more requests for potential workers from Fiji.
The Ministry of Employment, Industrial Relations and Productivity warns the public of fraudsters who are recruiting illegally. They are advising the public to check with the ministry on the validity of such companies. Sabera Tambua, FBC News.
In the news ahead, Fiji Mahogany Trust wants landowners to have a more active role in the industry.
घर संसार में आपका स्वागत है। आपका अपना छोटा सा स्वर्ग, जहाँ प्यार भरे रिश्ते पलते हैं, जहाँ हेल्थी रहने की सलाह दी जाती है, जहाँ हम आपको और भी सुंदर बनाते हैं और जहाँ स्वाद की सौगात भी है। नमस्कार, मैं हूँ पल्लवी। सोमवार से शुक्रवार 9 से 12 तक रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन पर घर संसार में शामिल रहिए मेरे साथ। ऐसा सुंदर सपना अपना।
It's now 6 o'clock right here on Big Breakfast. Today FM, today's hit music.
Hey, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Alan. Tune in to the Breakfast Show on Today FM with Pauline and I every weekday morning.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Today FM, today's hit music.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Venezuela's ambassador to Fiji, Nelson Lamida, has presented his credentials to the president, Ratuepeli Nailatikau. Prior to his accreditation as ambassador to Australia and Fiji, Lamida was the charge d'affaires of the Venezuelan embassy to Australia, New Zealand and Fiji. He has taught in various areas at the Venezuelan Military Academy and participated at various seminars at the Venezuelan Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Education. Lamida has represented his country at various meetings of the United Nations Pacific Islands Forum and taught at various international institutions. He is based at the Venezuela Embassy in Australia and will be accredited to Fiji. The Fiji Mahogany Trust hopes to become a part of the mahogany industry generally, rather than just receiving lease money. They'd like to see landowners involved in the actual harvesting of mahogany, Watisoni Rekonroka reports.
The Fiji Mahogany Trust hopes to participate more than just to receive lease money.
We would like to move from receiving lease monies on mahogany planted land to participating in the industry.
Fiji Mahogany Trust Chairman Choe Limbalin Rekonroka says that the landowners' children have been trained in logging, operating machines, driving trucks, financial literacy and financial planning. Balen Rekonroka adds they are hoping to present a model to the Mahogany Industry Council come next year.
We hope to put together a model from next year and put to the Mahogany Industry Council whereby they can seriously look at landowners participating meaningfully in the harvest and of mahogany and the mahogany industry generally.
Balen Rekonroka adds that the amount of lease money that landowners receive is depriving.
The amount of lease that landowners are getting, which is $10 per hectare, is very poor compared to the value of mahogany in a hectare of a plantation.
The government has allocated $0.25 million to the Fiji Mahogany Trust Fund to continue its services. They will also continue to distribute licenses to landowners and to review replanting strategies come next year. Watisoni Rekonroka, FBC News.
4 volunteers have been recognized for their service to the community as Fiji commemorates International Volunteers Day today. Celebrations have been held at Sukuna Park in Suva. Ellen Stahls reports.
The government in 2012 set up the Fiji Volunteer Service that encourages the participation of both young and old in voluntary service.
It also highlights the contribution of volunteers in engaging people from the grassroots in the decision-making process, ultimately creating space for participation that leads to stronger governance, social cohesion, peace and sustainable development.
Fiji has benefited from volunteer work from countries like the USA, Korea, Australia, Japan, and the United Nations.
These volunteers have contributed enormously towards development of our infrastructure, health and education sectors, environment, natural disaster management and mitigation, local governance, and of course improving the standard of lives of people living in the rural areas.
The theme of today's celebration was people's participation, make the change in volunteerism.
I think here in Fiji we sometimes forget that volunteerism is so integral to the society in Fiji and across the Pacific. In villages and in communities, people dedicate time to traditional forms of mutual aid and help, guided by ideas of reciprocity, social responsibility, and the duty to care.
Recipients included Josefa Ravulo, who won the Youth Award, Nilam Chand, who won the Youth Plus Award. The international award went to Saori Norioka, and the youngest was Josefa Nicola. For 18-year-old Nicola, working as a volunteer for the last 4 years with the St. John Association of Fiji, has been an enriching experience.
Helped me. Yeah, my parents helped me a lot during volunteer. They pay my bus fare from home to workplace every day when they call.
Fiji joins many countries in recognizing volunteers and applauding the hundreds of millions of people who volunteer to make change happen around the world. Ellen Stahls, FBC News.
Followers of FBCTV will be able to watch their favourite local TV shows on the internet. The Fiji Broadcasting Corporation has signed an agreement with Telecom Fiji Limited that will see the programmes live streamed. Sakio Sanaivor has more.
Popular local programs like the Batini Tanua are expected to be available on the internet from next week. FBC Chief Executive Riaz Sayad Kayum says this milestone deal will take Fijian broadcasting to another level.
Great for people who have any interest in Fiji, for former Fiji residents who want to have a link to Fiji, and we produce some wonderful programs, and I believe that's the reason why TFL decided to reach this agreement with us and do this deal with FBC than to go to any other broadcaster.
During the elections, more than 80 countries watch the coverage with estimation of more than 50,000 people via live streaming. FBC TV has the widest TV coverage in the country.
We have another world first, and FBC we want to do world first. We haven't seen this on any other TV or content that is streamed around the world. Waisea Bhasha, which is a trilingual program, is going to be streamed as well. And we believe this is the first trilingual program to be streamed globally. So
TFL believes the agreement will improve its service to broadband customers.
Any other customers also can access via our portal, and this is a device agnostic. They can access through their tablets or their smartphones or through their even through their TVs. This is basically a device agnostic type of service.
For other local programs, Navaki Kelly, Aina Speak Your Mind and FBC News are expected to be live streamed from next week. Sakyusa Naibua, FBC News.
Friday Night Sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Rakazaki, good evening. Coming up, TFL Fijiana face Australia tonight in the quarterfinals of the Dubai Sevens. And Ben Ryan confident in his players ahead of first pool game against France. This and more coming up.
Bula FM nambando na serane wasiningo na dibatara ni sibiti ko bekianda na diwa na tini na miniti na may pakuriti ore bengrabe na nontango nongo kanda na dabati ko ani no na kaloko ena kamende ndebo bili na tay wali ni may dabati ko na wani matakabo na libsarti ko na bisere tali oni na namaka ndo batati ko may kinena kenan daw ro di kanamaki Bula binaka ayo salamilawa do bataki ya wana batara na wani dio na kaloko moni tiki na barumbuka ena Bula FM nambandua ena sere
How are you doing, Fiji? Yes, indeed, fast approaching, well, the major bulletin. But before we even talk about the major bulletin, what about my little news flash?
Oh my gosh, please don't let him get me started on that again.
Getting on the bus yesterday, and then he tells me, brother, move on to the other seat, because we can fit two people where you're sitting.
Hey, you can't blame the dude for being honest, okay?
There was nothing honest about what he said. Hi, I'm Pimil.
And I'm Fina.
Your daybreak duo on Gold FM. From Mondays to Fridays.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Turn us on.
Welcome back to FBC Sports News Just the Hand. The Attorney General has announced that there will be no live coverage of the Dubai Sevens on any local television station for now. In a press conference in Natandola, Singatoka, in the last half hour, Ayaside Kiyum said the New Zealand Rugby Union is assisting Fiji by acting as mediators with World Rugby. The world body has suspended TV coverage of the games to Fiji. He says, however, the games can be watched on the internet as well as radio commentaries of Fiji's games on FBC's Radio Fiji 1 and Bula FM. Now, the 2014 Dubai Sevens kicks off this hour with Vodafone Fiji taking on France at 6:44 p.m. Fiji is leading the World 7 Series points table and are tagged as the top bet to win the title. However, Coach Ben Ryan says they need to remain grounded as other teams named are just as strong.
Yeah, incredibly happy, and I said to them at Gold Coast that our biggest opponent is going to be ourselves, and if we get our best game out there and we're concentrating for the 2 days in those games, it's going to take an incredibly impressive performance by anyone to beat us.
There is still a possibility of new players joining the Vodafone Fiji Under-20 football side if the need arises. The team scored only a single goal in their 3 matches at the OFC President's Cup, and chances of new strikers joining the squad are high. Rohit Deo has more.
And that was working in nicely again. The national under-20 team came back from the President's Cup with a lot of positives, but it doesn't take anyone to be a soccer pundit to say that a lot of work is needed before next year's World Cup. With Samuel Anambenia still recovering, the call is now on the officials to make if new players are needed.
The players, like we said, if we need strikers or any positions, we'll look into it. And we have got one new striker, Gabriele. It was his first outing out, and he had improved over as he played the matches in Australia and New Zealand. And that is very positive. And we will look at other opportunities. And you know, we lost Samuel Anambenia, and that is something that we are trying to get sure that he recovers. We have got his operation happening soon, which is, I think, scheduled for this week. And he will be, given through full medical checkup and everything, and then we'll expect and hope he recovers well before the World Cup. But as far as strikers, yes, we'll look into it, and if the coaches feel we need more players in certain areas, that's their call, and we'll make that call.
The team definitely needs more game time against professional clubs if they are to be competitive at next year's event. Plans are already underway to send our ruggers abroad, as officials believe the more game time they get, the better it is for the players.
Yeah, I've got 3-4 correspondences already. We are looking at the Asian trip right now and the USA trip. And as we finalize, then I can give you concrete. Yes, we can do it. They have given us the time frame that when they'd like to have it. So we're just working it out on it, and we finding out what our expenses and everything will be. So before the logistically we work it out, and then we'll finalize that trip.
With less than 7 months left to the kickoff of the World Cup in New Zealand, it is for sure that we need to speed up preparations if we don't want the repeat of results we had at the President's Cup. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Sports Commission will bring in more specialist technical officials to help upgrade the standard of sports in the country. The initiative is in conjunction with international tournaments that are currently underway or are yet to be held. Fiji Sports Council Chairman Peter Maisie made the announcement at a check presentation to the national powerlifting team yesterday. He says the assistance of the sports experts from overseas has been a success.
We have brought in specialist technical officials to either train up referees, umpires and that. And we've done it in powerlifting and karate, and we've done it in volleyball. And netball as well.
On Sunday, the national powerlifting team will compete in Melbourne at the 2014 Oceania Asia Championships, which will run until the 14th of this month. That was your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
The Immigration Department will be open tomorrow to issue passports. Immigration Director Nemani Vuniwanga says delays were faced due to faulty software. Immigration Office in the North and the West will also be open from 9 to 1 tomorrow to issue passports. Vuniwanga says special arrangements have been made with Fiji Link to ensure that these divisions receive these passports tonight.
We know we have deprived a lot of Fijian nationals from the issuance of their books in the past 3-4 days. We know that there's some that have applied for urgent passports due to travel arrangements that have already been facilitated. But we did not issue books in place because of the problem that we faced with the software in our database.
The department has in total about 33,000 passports and says it will be enough to sustain the department till the next year. Rain was experienced over most parts of the country today. Nandi received the highest rainfall of 28 millimeters, followed by Suva at 26, and Nandi received 4 millimeters. A trough of low pressure with associated cloud and showers lies slow-moving south of Nauru and extends southeast over Tokelau and northern Cooks. Another trough lies slow-moving just west of Fiji. Meanwhile, a frontal system lies slow-moving over Fiji and extends eastwards over Tonga. Mombasa topped in the temperatures today, reporting 31 degrees. The other centres had 28 and 29 degrees respectively. Tomorrow's outlook: occasional rain over most places, isolated heavy falls and thunderstorms possible. And further outlook: expect occasional rain over most places on Sunday. Our main points again. The European Union has allocated $67 million for bilateral cooperation with Fiji, and the Immigration Department will open its offices tomorrow to issue passports. Now to our poll segment, we're asking, should the contract for Fiji's Sevens players be more than $15,000 per annum? Visit our FBC website, www.fbc.com.fj, to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's our bulletin for today. Be sure to have a lovely weekend. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, good night.
बॉलीवुड हीरो पंती रे. Get this.
हीरो सपना दिखेला बंद करो.
क्या करूं यार, सबको आती नहीं, मेरी जाती नहीं. मिर्ची मस्त मॉर्निंग में हूँ अश्निल सिंह.
हाय, मैं हूँ काजल.
शामिल हो जाए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे
6 AM to 9 AM.
मिर्ची FM, it's hot.